Do you have the recording button? Okay, cool.
Yep.
Okay. I'm just going to count down. I'll cut this part out.
Are you going?
Yep. All right, everyone. We're back with Pizza and Picks. This is episode 2. I'm Coulter Olmstead here with my buddy Tyler Christensen. How you doing?
Coulter, I'm doing pretty well. We both had pizza tonight.
Yes.
I had Mackenzie River Pizza, my favorite. They won the Pizza and Picks Award of 2016, I think. We gave the certificate to the restaurant. They did not accept it, but we're hoping they accept it sometime in the future.
Yeah, I think we needed to frame it. I think that would have
It was framed.
would have been key.
It was framed. It was a professional certificate. I had bought the frame at Ross right before I gave it to them.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't like Ross, I don't know what you like.
Yeah, that's on them at that point. But we're here. We had, 72 days of no basketball, and we're getting close now. We just had the draft, and free agency started. So, man, it's been a weird week, and let's just jump right in. Who do you think has been the winner so far of this hectic, 10-day period of nonsense of the off season?
Yeah, well, Coulter, you're absolutely right. Basketball has been away for too long. I'm having depression about how I had basketball for 70 days straight, and then it just disappeared from my life completely for an entire month. It's been a rough month. It's good to be back. The best winner of free agency, I'd have to say the LA Lakers.
Yeah,
A lot
hands,
of small,
hands down, I think.
Hands down, I'm sure they're a pretty popular one. There's a couple other teams that might have given them a run for their money, but they made the most moves. They didn't make the biggest moves, but they made the most moves for sure. This is an interesting stat. They had a weak bench. Now they picked up the sixth man of the year and this runner-up for sixth man of the year, and Harrell and Schroeder. So the Lakers' weakest spot during the playoffs was their bench. They might have one of the best bench teams in the NBA right now, and we haven't even gotten to half their pickups.
Yeah, and they solidified that bench with another great D3 player in Wes Matthews. I thought getting him at 1 year, $3.5 million or whatever, and then Markieff Morris re-signing for the minimum. Those two, man, on the wings really help you on your second unit, I think. And then they went out and got Gasol too. I don't know what the terms of that extension is, but I heard it's about 2 years with player option. But man, it's crazy that they can get those, not only veteran players, but they can get crazy young players as well.
Don't mind me while I'm charging my laptop. All right, people. This is a live recording here. We don't have any producers in the studio with us. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they got Schroeder for. I mean, they dumped Danny Green and I think a pick, but man, to get a 27-year-old sixth man of the year in their prime, and then right off the bat sign Montrezl Harrell for near to nothing for 2 years is pretty crazy.
Yeah, Harrell deciding to go to the Lakers for 2 years with a player option for that second year, so he might not be there too long, but getting a player that was probably going to attack them in the playoffs if they ended up meeting like they should have last season. Harrell's a huge still, if you ask me. It's Monday night, so this hasn't happened yet, but Anthony Davis hasn't re-signed with the Lakers, and all signs are saying he's going to be signing for a couple more years too. We're not sure of what he's going to sign for yet, but it'll probably match up with Bronze, maybe 2 in a player option for the third, somewhere along those lines. So getting all those other players for cheap is allowing them to re-sign AD long-term too. So yeah, the Lakers won before they even signed Anthony Davis. That's saying something.
Yeah, I've seen that from multiple things in the past couple of really actually today is he's waiting to see what Giannis does if he does the extension before the off season. is over, and so they can maybe make a play at getting Giannis next off season. But either way, I'm pretty sure Anthony Davis is coming back. He's getting paid, but yeah, the Lakers
Absolutely.
are got to be strong front runners right now to repeat.
Absolutely. I think the next team we'd have to talk about is the Bucks. Maybe not the second biggest winner, but the second most interesting offseason
Wow. Yeah.
with Drew Holiday. They're trying to convince Giannis to stay, so they were trying to get Brogdon as well, but that obviously didn't happen. We'll get to them in a little bit. They had a lot of little losses. Wes Matthews going to the Lakers. They lost Lopez to the Wizards. They're bringing in weird point guards like Brian Forbes and DJ Augustine, which I like both of them, but I don't think it's going to replace the losses of Eric Bledsoe and George Hill. What do you think stands out most from the Bucks? Are they a better team than they were at the end of the season? It seems like they are, but it's a lot different.
Well, I'm a huge Bucks fan, and when I saw the Drew Holiday trade, at first I was excited because he's a definite upgrade from Eric Bledsoe, but they gave up so many picks, 4 first-round picks. They got rid of Eric Bledsoe, but George Hill in that second unit was huge. He led the league in three-point shooting last year, and I think him as having reins of that second unit really hurts. I like that they got DJ Augustine, but really, is he going to be a crunch time player? I think Bobby Portis is an upgrade at post off the bench. I didn't think last year they had anyone at, besides every once in a while they played small ball and put Giannis at the 5 and had Middleton at the 4. But I think Bobby Portis at the post will help off the bench. He won't do much on defense, but he'll just shoot a bunch of threes. And Torrey Craig, he might play some in crunch time because he played in the playoffs quite a bit for Denver. Yeah, but Brim Forbes and DJ Augustine replacing George Hill and Eric Bledsoe, I don't know if that's considered an upgrade. I got mixed feelings about the Bucks. I think they addressed certain spots, and I think they probably are a better playoff team now. Who cares about the regular season? They'll just win whatever 50 games out of 72 or whatever and make, be top 2 seed. But I think injury pending, they probably are better in the playoffs now, considering where Giannis plays.
I've got an idea. It's too late for the Bucks to do this now, but I have an idea. If they would have asked me, I would have told them this idea. There's a lot of trade rumor out there for James Harden. Everything they're saying to get for James Harden, so the big one is from the Nets, Chris LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, and some picks. Why didn't the Bucks take their time? I know Drew Holiday was going somewhere, but why didn't the Bucks take a little bit of time? And if they're going to trade all those picks you mentioned and then 2 solid point guards, why not call up some of the other teams and see what you can get for that huge package? I would imagine getting James Harden might be possible. That might be something the Rockets would have been interested in if they would have given it a couple of days. What do you
Right?
think?
Yeah, and I 100% agree. I think with the value, if you look at what they gave up to get Drew Holiday, you would have guessed Drew Holiday was a top 10, maybe top 15 player. And I don't know if I can consider him that. He's had a lot of injuries and off the court issues that aren't troublesome, but have just happened, with the past few years. But man, it seems like they really valued him as like a all NBA type player. And it seems that after I think little of it was panic after Chris Paul was off the board when Phoenix, who we'll talk about in a second, nabbed him from OKC, that I think that the real contenders for an upgrade at guard were less and less, diminished. And I think they just had to, panicked and got Drew Holiday. It seemed like a little bit to me.
there's a lot of media buzz for Giannis to re-sign now that the Bucks made all these great moves. Now that they're even a better team, and I hope Giannis has some good advisors and he doesn't make any snap decisions. I don't know if you can make a snap decision in Greece, but I hope he doesn't while he's over there because I think he should let this season play out because until Drew Holiday is re-signed, you
Yeah.
don't know what you're going to be left with that team. You don't know how that team's going to look this year. They could look terrible if he re-signs now, and then he's going to probably have to play another 2 years and lose another 2 years of his prime. Playing in Milwaukee, I just listened to that podcast documentary from Woj, and he seems like he'd be a very loyal person. And props to him if he does it just to be loyal, but I don't think it would be a good business move to re-sign at the start of the season. You still hold the cards. You didn't agree to anything. Might as well wait it out.
Yeah, and I I think it was on the Zach Lowe podcast I was listening to. Is it's interesting how these players that you are, 50-50 on re-signing but are very loyal, and how they don't have a little bit more connectivity with the head office, because you'd think if Giannis is interested in staying in Milwaukee, how he wouldn't have been, in some talks a little bit with that trade and been like, we're giving up I think they gave up way too many first round picks, and having him, have some say in that and be like, well, if Drew Holiday leaves after 1 year, at least we have some stability. But obviously they're going all in to see if, the season plays out, Drew Holiday can sign, re-signs before the deadline, and then hope for the best summer 2021. But yeah, it's a huge risk, and I could see it going very poorly for the Bucks if they, have an early out in the playoffs.
It's a shaky road when you start letting players be general managers. We've seen it work with LeBron, one of the greatest basketball minds in the game. I wouldn't mind having LeBron as a GM today. If he retired and wanted to be a GM on my team, I'd hire him in a second. But then you have players like Elton Brand, who's still part of decision player making, I think.
Sixers.
Maybe he's a president. I don't know, whatever that means. Didn't know
Yeah.
you could be the president of a team. I hope you won the popular vote. But then you also have another situation with James Harden being the GM, giving up Chris
Yep.
Paul, Russ Westbrook. I mean, he's a pretty smart player and he's not making great decisions. So if Giannis is running your front office, you might be in for some trouble. I haven't heard he wanted Drew Holiday. I think he wanted Brogdon more than even Drew Holiday. He might have wanted Drew, but if he was part of that decision, he dug his own grave in Milwaukee.
Well, I'm not saying that he
Maybe
had a
it still work
decision, but I'm saying if he had some input rather
Yeah,
than,
no, I think you're right. I'm not saying that you're not right. I'm saying it might have been a bad decision if that was his input.
yeah, it just seems like a lot of these players now that, are getting these max deals and stuff are just sitting in the dark, not talking, they're just talking to their inner circle and not talking to the organization. And you'd think that they could work together to figure something out, but it'll be interesting. I think they added some pieces, but I think I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
The teams they have to worry about this year, to name a couple that did well in free agency, I would start with the Heat. The other team they have to contend with, and Nets are kind of boring. We might get to them. But the Heat were an interesting team in free agency. I think they're still in the Giannis sweepstakes. They didn't make huge moves. I'm surprised they give Dragic big money for 2 years. I thought it was going to be 1 year.
It's a
Um,
1-and-1 though. I think it's a player option in the second year.
Player option. Well, that's still in his
Yeah,
favor, but
yeah.
good point. I think they're still in the Giannis sweepstakes. Are going to let their players grow. They're still going to have the same team basically. Jay Crowder leaving them will hurt a little bit, but they
Yeah.
replace him with Avery Bradley and
Mo
who's the other?
Harkless.
Mo Harkless. Yeah, I liked him in Portland, but I don't know if I like him on the Heat. We'll see. But they're just investing in their youth. They want to see Hero grow. They want to see Bam grow. He'll probably get a max. He hasn't gotten it yet. He's pretty much one of the last holdouts for that. Um, but I like the Heat's moves by not doing anything. But I don't know. The East, I didn't see as many moves as I did in the West. Did you like Miami's moves?
It's interesting because I think they got stronger on the backcourt wings, but Jay Crowder was so versatile in how he could guard fours and even fives, and I don't think Mo Harkless necessarily can do that. But then they did. I mean, we'll talk about it later. They did draft Precious Achua, and I think he fits perfectly in that spot. So I think they addressed needs off the bench. I think they probably overall got stronger on the bench. Other than I think Solomon Hill was the only other player they lost besides Crowder. But yeah, I think top teams in the East besides, the Nets obviously are going to be healthy, but I think the
The big one with the
Celtics,
Nets was the big one with the Nets was Joe Harris.
yeah,
He got a payday. I could see them using him as a trade asset. They might have just locked him up for 4 years to trade him later, but he
yeah,
also fits perfectly next to KD and Kyrie. So I wouldn't trade him, but
yeah.
again, there's still a lot of players on the trade market the Nets might be interested in.
Yeah, and so they kind of stayed. I would say, they made that a priority, and I think that's about it. But I thought that the Raptors got worse. They did sign Van Fleet, which I think was huge, and then they got Aaron Baines and Alex Len. I think were their two other, and Boucher re-signed, but they lost Ibaka, lost Gasol. So I don't know if they have the interior defense that they had quite as much as last year. And then I think the Celtics losing Hayward for nothing hurts, but they did get Tristan Thompson, which is an upgrade at center, I think, especially in like he can, if they play the Sixers or someone like that, where it's a big center situation, they can actually have someone that can guard him.
We always talk about how the West Conference has way more talent than the East Conference. We wonder why the West is so much better than the East. This is why. The East Conference teams don't make moves, or they don't try to make moves. I don't know. Maybe their destinations are just less appealing. I mean, Toronto, you have to live in another country, higher taxes. Boston's cold. Philly's cold. Miami has been on an upswing, so they're
Yep.
doing okay, but they're still in the honest sweepstakes. Brooklyn's going to be cold. I mean, all these places I'm sure are good places to live. I just can't understand why the East can't do a better job year after year after year with all these players moving to the West. Not so much this year, but the East also didn't take any of their players back. They held on to Van Fleet and Hayward, so obviously not a lot of big moves to be made, even if they wanted to. But it's almost sad to see a team like Toronto and a team like Boston who have to invest in growth. I mean, Boston has gotten big players in the past, but they're going the opposite way with losing Horford and losing Kyrie the year before that, and then now losing Gordon Hayward. Um, I worry about the teams in the East. So the Bucks might have gotten better just because the rest of the conference got worse.
A
And
little bit worse, yeah.
I think it's a 3-team race now between Miami, um, the Bucks and the Nets. And I don't see anyone else doing it unless the Pacers or the Celtics make a trade. I think the Rockets are on the downslide.
Do you
They
think
lost
any
player.
other teams in the East got better? I mean, I'm not saying like into the top tier maybe, but I think Philly addressed some needs and got some shooters around Ben Simmons and Embiid with getting Danny Green and Seth
Make
Curry.
your case, but I'm gonna argue
I'm
it. Make your
I'm
case.
not
Make your case
they
for
got,
Phil.
I'm not saying that they're going up
Oh,
to
do it. Do
they're
it.
not they're not going to be a top 3 I think they're in that same position they were last year, that 4 through 6. But they did get Danny Green, Seth Curry, I think Tyrese Maxey is a very underrated rookie. I think he'll be, you know, uh, situationally like a really good plug and play, similar to Landry Shamet when he was a rookie in Philly. Weirdly, we'll talk. I think adding him to the Nets bench was big, but then getting rid of Al Horford's contract is huge. You know, they have some more leeway that way, but I think they finally got some shooters that can play some sort of defense. And so that second unit isn't going to just be drastically horrible when Embiid and Simmons are not on the court.
I wonder what Daryl Morey is going to do. It's not that I didn't like the Sixers moves they made. I disliked the moves they didn't make. So what I mean by that is they get rid of Horford and then they get rid of Josh Richardson, two of their better
Yeah.
players. I mean, they're making
And
caps.
defensive players, yeah.
You have these two big players and you want to see if it'll work, but they didn't make another move. They got Seth Curry. I mean, that's your addition. I like Seth Curry. He's a very efficient player, but I don't think he's going to push you over the top. I think he's going to be someone in your lineup for 30 minutes a game. I don't even know if he'll close. I hope he does. And then I don't know, just relying on Danny Green, a player the Lakers wanted to get rid of because he was playing so bad in the
Yeah.
finals, and a rookie in Maxey. I'm sure he'll be good in a couple of years, but I don't think he'll contribute too much right away. Maybe he will. So I'm worried about the Sixers. We'll see if they can make a trade. They're also very linked to James Harden. I would do Simmons
Yeah.
and Harden in a second for both teams, but I'm worried about the Sixers. I'm worried about all these teams, man. There's a takeaway I took. It was the East at the top didn't do that well. Can I bring up a? Do you have something else on the Sixers? I have one more East team.
No, I was going to say, do you have another East team that maybe
I
is like
do.
in that bottom
Yeah,
tier that didn't make
yeah.
the
I
playoffs
think
that
we
might jump?
I think we both like the Hawks. I mean, so they're kind of the opposite of the Sixers. I
Yeah.
liked how they made so many moves, and I didn't like how they made so many moves.
Yeah, I
Uh,
liked some and didn't like the a couple others.
where did they get all this money? Oh my gosh! I mean, they're going to have to pay some of these young players eventually, and
Yeah.
that'll be pretty soon. So the Hawks adding Gallinari and Rondo to their team just kind of confused me. I mean, Gallinari at 61 mil, Rondo at I think 7 million a year. I mean,
Yeah,
he,
15
he
for two.
was 17 for two. I mean, he was probably going to get the vet minimum uh, for most other teams. That's what the Lakers were offering. So I don't know with the Hawks. They use some cap space. They're going to be a better team.
Well, and then they added possibly Bogdanovich if that trade goes
Well,
through. The Kings have a chance to
I kept calling him Brogdon earlier, Bogdanovich. Gosh,
Bogdanovich
I'm
at
Bill Simmons. I'm the Bill Simmons crew.
but that was four. That's 4 for 72, and that's a weird. That one's the weirdest one to me because you have DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, and Kevin Herter, who are all wing players trying to vie for minutes, and then you go get Chris Dunn and possibly Bogdanovich, who are just two other plug and play defensive, or well, Chris Dunn's defensive wing, but you're just like minimizing minutes to these young players who you're trying to grow into, actual real role players and stuff like that around Trae Young. And I don't know. Yeah, I think they made a few too many moves almost. And I think maybe, I don't know. I've heard some things with John Collins wanting the max and them not wanting to give the max. So maybe that Onyeka Okongwu pick was kind of insurance, but I don't know. I don't know if you necessarily need to get Gallinari and Bogdanovich to make that team up.
I don't think they will get Bogdanovich. I just want to call him Bogdan. That's how I'll
Yeah,
remember Bogdan.
well, it's Bogdanovich. So
There you go. Yeah, the Hawks are going to be fighting for the 7th seed. Maybe there's some upside with their young players. Maybe they'll be good in a couple of years.
yeah,
I'm not too excited about it, but at least they have a chance of making the playoffs, and that's saying something for the Hawks.
yeah. On the other end, though, in the West version of the Hawks, I think, were the Suns. I thought they did a lot of good things this offseason. They got Chris Paul, obviously, but I think getting Jay Crowder was huge. I think Jay Crowder can fit in perfectly at that 4 spot next to Ayton and intertwined with Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson. And then they kind of added some good young depth and some shooting in their bench with Etwan Moore. And then I like Damian James. I think he didn't get to play much for the Warriors and then for the Hawks, but I think him coming into that rotation as an athletic big we'll see what happens with Jalen Smith when we talk about the draft. But I thought they addressed everything they lost, and I think they got better. I think they'll be that 7-8 seed. We'll see. What do you
Yeah,
think?
I think you're right. They're the Hawks
And
of
in the West, that doesn't
the
matter,
West.
but
Yeah, I mean, it's actually saying something to make the playoffs in the West. It's not
yeah,
saying anything for the playoffs in the East. But I like the Suns. Chris Paul's my boy. Devin Booker will play well next to him, but they're going to have to invest in their youth and hope their picks work out. I think his name is Jalen Smith from your Maryland boys. Is it Jalen Smith?
yeah, that
Big
was who
power
they picked at
forward.
10. Yeah,
Yeah, so they got rid of Baines and replace him with the rookie. So I don't know. I like what the Suns have been doing lately. I'm worried about them. They probably need one more piece to be a series contender. So
yeah.
hopefully one of their young players work out for them. I know you like your Suns a lot, so I'm going to talk about my Blazers now. If there was another team that we would say won NBA free agency, it's going to be the Portland Trail Blazers.
Yeah.
I took a little sheet of notes. I'm pretty much the Ryan Russillo now. When I was writing all the additions the Blazers had that were positive for them, I ran out of room on multiple lines. All right, so I'll go through them here because there's so many of them. So we have Derek Jones Jr., Robert Covington. So these are both free agency and trade. We got Rodney Hood. We have Enos Cantor, Harry Giles, and then they re-signed the second best Mello in the NBA in Carmelo Anthony. And then I just wrote down Gary Trent too because they still have Gary Trent, and he was still one of the NBA bubble stories.
On a
I think
rookie
he
G
went
League
like that
contract.
too.
Yeah.
The Blazers are going to be scary. I mean, they're still small. They're still bad at defense, but adding Derek Jones and Covington to the team, they're getting better. They're going to be a
Yeah.
scary team next year. And pretty much the only player they lost that they would have liked to keep around is a reason they upgraded to Covington. So watch out for the Trailblazers. This might be the year where they strike.
Yeah, and of all those upgrade signs, trades, re-signs, I think Harry Giles is a really key piece to them. Is if he can stay healthy. I thought in January and February last year, he really started to play good for the Kings, and I thought he was under the radar signing for the minimum for a 1-year contract. I think that's huge. He's still so young and still really hasn't had a full season in the NBA, but crazy athlete.
I'm happy for Melo getting back on the
Yeah,
Blazers.
yeah, I was
He
worried
didn't
there
get
for a second.
much, but he said he was going to come back to the team at the end of the season. I'm like, does Portland want you? Um, so good for Melo. I don't know how much he's going to be in these new lineups with Derek Jones, Rodney Hood, and Covington, and they paid those three guys a
Yep,
lot more than they pay Melo. So good job, Melo. You might be traded here in another couple months, but I'm glad to have you back.
he'll get some good jumpers in that offense. But yeah, I think you got to put him early top. I think top 3 with how a couple of the teams that were in that 3, 4, 5 spot last year didn't do anything, and I think one of our big losers we could probably agree on in the West was the Nuggets. I think losing Jeremy Grant was huge. Probably the worst loss, comparably to Gordon Hayward, I'd say, for the Celtics. But man, that guy wants to go get paid a lot of money to be an overused, under I don't know, underperforming wing. I think he might have thought he could be the guy when he definitely is a fourth option on a team.
Yeah, I heard he
Um,
wanted to be the guy. I think I'm
yeah,
going to push back a little bit. It's interesting that Denver also offered
yeah,
Jeremy Grant the same salary, same contract, and I think it's better that they didn't re-sign him. I agree the Nuggets are losers. I'm going to push back on Grant a little bit because I like the JaMychal Green signing, and it was for a lot less money. So they're going to have some flexibility when they want to re-sign their players like Michael Porter, which obviously is the player they're investing in, and that's why they didn't make these moves. Losing Torrey Craig, I didn't like that. They had to re-sign Millsap. They lost Plumlee to the Pistons.
yeah,
Apparently, the Detroit is just going to be the Detroit Nuggets now.
yep,
Probably will do better because of it, but they're just giving these big paydays to the Nuggets. Yeah, I don't know about the Nuggets. I really like Michael Porter. Still a solid snap game. But they definitely didn't add anybody. They definitely got worse. So hopefully their youth grows too, or they're going to be falling behind with teams catching them. Maybe even the Suns, maybe the Blazers. The Jazz are going to be good again
yep.
next year. Um, we'll see. I didn't like what they did either.
Yeah, Mike Malone and the head office must have a lot of faith in, Bol Bol and Michael Porter
Oh,
Jr.'s, getting better, making
he's got to
time to
stop wearing sweat. Michael Porter has got to stop wearing sweats when he plays basketball and does all his workouts. It's the most impractical thing ever, and it's always the sweats that make you sweat too much too. They're like the fleece stuff, and it's Puma, and just I don't know what he's doing. But other than that, his workouts have been great. Probably one last team we should get to from the West would probably be the Clippers. They had an interesting offseason. I don't know if they're a winner or a loser. They're kind of neutral.
yeah,
They had they re-signed Marcus Morris. They lost Harrell, obviously. They added Serge. They got Luke Kennard, which was a sneaky little steal
yeah,
they did. But now they just have so many shooting forwards. Who's going to bring the ball up for them? I still think they're going to have the same problems they did last year with no big point guard. Um, Serge Ibaka is going to be there for defense too, so I guess they're still getting good defensively. But I just don't see their identity yet. Just a bunch of guards that will sometimes guard the other team. I don't know about their mix. They made some moves, but I don't know if they got better because of it. They lost Landry Shamet too. One
yeah.
of their
In the Kennard trade, and I think that's a weird trade because you get equal shooting in Kennard, probably more volume compared to Shamit, but you definitely don't get the defense or the point guard skills. But I think Ibaka over Harrell is probably an upgrade. I think he's a better defender and a far better 3-point shooter. So it spreads the floor a little bit for PG and Kawhi to get some playing time or get some space in the lane and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know in crunch time who's going to take the ball up. That's going to be an interesting thing, especially in the West with so many crazy good defenders in the backcourt.
Last year, I thought the Clippers were a bad matchup for the Lakers. The Lakers might have trouble with it in the playoffs. Now it's flipped. Now I think the Lakers have more depth and the Clippers don't have as
Yeah,
much versatility. Maybe I'm just overestimating Harrell in that regard, but I don't know. The Clippers are scaring me, but they still have two of the best 15 players in the NBA, so
yeah,
they'll still be in it.
yeah. They'll still be a top 3 seed, I think.
Can,
But
can, can I talk about Gordon Hayward? There,
yeah,
there's no
is
there's
he a
no
is he a
reason
winner or a loser? Where are we at with Gordon Hayward?
he got paid. He's a winner.
He's a winner. Yeah,
Gordon Hayward is a winner. I don't know about everyone else in the situation, but he got paid. I don't know. It's hard to even bring up the Hornets because we're never going to see them on TV anymore. They might give a game or two on national TV to the Hornets so we can watch the best Mellow in the NBA. But it's here. This is why I want to bring it up. the media is pushing back, saying it's one of the worst signings of all time. There is something bad to it because it's going to push the Hornets so much over the cap that it's actually going to be like a 147 million contract over
Yeah.
4 years. That's how much it'll hurt them. They'll only pay Gordon Hayward the 120. So that part is significant, but the Hornets never get anybody. We would never talk about them. The only reason anyone would talk about the Hornets is because they got LaMelo Ball. We'll talk about him when we talk about the draft in a second. But they finally got a big signing. I was trying to think of the biggest signing that actually of a free agent that's coming to the
Mhm.
Hornets in a while, and I couldn't actually think of one. Is maybe like Al Jefferson? I
Well,
mean,
it
I
was
can.
probably Al
Yep,
Jefferson or Nicholas Batum when Nicholas
that
Batum was
that was
playing for
big at the time
Portland.
too.
But
I know some people are saying this is another Nicholas Batum move, or I heard it compared to
no,
Chandler Parsons. Gordon
yeah,
Hayward is
he
still a
is.
good player.
Yeah, no, he's an amazing player, and I think, yeah, he got paid. When Michael Jordan called him up and said, "We need you here," he answered. But I've also heard that the Celtics are trying to get something out of it in a sign and trade deal. We'll
It's gonna
see.
be
I
like
doubt that happens, but
it'll be like a second round draft pick. They
yeah,
did it last year when Kemba was going to
yep.
the Celtics, so they'll probably just return the favor.
Um, but yeah, I think he can be the guy on the Charlotte, and they have some pieces. If Malik Monk gets it together and gets a good season together, he's played 5 to 6 games really good, and then he has 10 games that are just like up and down. I think
Yeah,
him and PJ Washington are good pieces, and in the East, that eighth spot's open every single season. So if LaMelo Ball right off the bat plays good, that team, in my opinion, could potentially play for that 8 seed.
I think if Lamelo Ball plays, it's extra for them. I think they're going to make the 8
Yeah.
seed. I think I'd put money on them making the playoffs either way. Gordon Hayward, real quick. When Boston signed him, it was 4 years for 128. His stats weren't that great then. They were good. They're 22 points. Oh gosh, like 3.5 assists. He was shooting
He was
about
coming off an all-star
46%.
all-star appearance, though, I think.
He had an All Star, yes, but I I like All Star, but All
I
Star
think
is sometimes because your team's good and you're not actually one of the top 15 players. He might have been that year, but my point actually is his stats this year compared to efficiency are actually better. So
mhm.
Hayward is at 17 and a half points, 5 rebounds, I think, and 3 assists. And he's taking 13 and a half shots compared to that year when he was an all star, where he was shooting, I think, about 18 or 19 shots. So he just had one of the best shooting seasons of his career. He was 50 from the field, 38% from three, and 83% from the free throw line. So
That's
his
solid,
stock
yeah.
is actually trending up. I'm still worried about injuries, but I don't like all this backlash.
Yeah, I think if he can stay healthy, he's a solid number one option for them, and I I I think he's worth the money if he can stay healthy. People are bashing him just because he left, and
Because he
uh,
looks like me, right? Is that it? That's what you're saying?
no, I wish he would have gone to Indiana. I think he would have fit nice in Indiana. I just think that the Celtics wanted too much for him from what I've read, and
Like you said, the Michael Jordan phone call pushed it
yeah,
over.
yeah. So um, I wish the best for him, and I think that I think they have solid core, and I think he just adds to it. So it'll be interesting to watch Charlotte the 3 times we get to watch them this year.
Yeah.
uh,
Oh, the free agency was good. Still a couple things out
what
there.
what was
Let's go
your
to your turf.
what? I wanted to ask you, what was your favorite contract?
Favorite contract.
Favorite
Oh my
contract,
God.
like who did you love the most when they signed and at the best deal? I think the Van Fleet was the best signing. 4 years, 85. He wasn't getting max deal, but he's a solid player for them, and they needed to get him back.
His stats, I was looking at his stats. They're about the same as Hayward's, which is interesting. He probably had a little more volume. His shooting percentage is only 41%, even though his three is 39%. So if he's shooting a lot of threes, he's okay. Gosh, that's such a good question. Easy. Dwight Howard
Dwight
for the
Howard.
76ers. He said he was going to play on the Lakers, and
Yeah.
then he ends up playing with Joel Embiid in Philadelphia. What are those practices going to be like? How many fights are they going to have per practice? I hope Doc can hold it down
Yeah,
because
it'll be
a
interesting to see
Dwight
if that
Howard
lasts.
Joel Embiid fight in practice would be one of the best sights possible.
That'll see if we'll see if that lasts all season.
So good.
But yeah, let's move on to the thing that happened earlier this week with the NBA draft. Weirdly, it happened 2 days before free agency started. So, do you want to give me a team or specific players that you thought were winners in the draft? You want to start with teams?
Yeah, we could start. We could start with teams.
Okay.
Yeah, why don't you take it? This is your field.
Okay.
I've got a couple guys that I kind of like, but I've got a bigger theory on the draft than a lot of teams I like.
Okay. So I'm gonna I have 3 players that I think fit. 4 players that I think fit perfectly with the teams that they got drafted to. And the person that I think of the early draft who was just like the perfect fit, and he fell to number 12 and fell past the Suns, which I thought he would have been perfect for, is Tyrese Halliburton to the Kings at number 12. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the draft. I think he's going to be able to fit so nicely with De'Aaron Fox or in that second unit next to Buddy Hield. Man, he can shoot. He can run an offense. He's not a great scorer off the bat. You know, he's not going to go get you a bucket like Buddy Hield or De'Aaron Fox, but I think he is an amazing combo guard that is perfect for the league right now. But so yeah, I'd say that the Kings with that pick, and then they drafted Jamias Ramsey, or I can't remember his first name, in the second round out of Texas Tech. I think he's a crazy raw athlete, but he reminds me a little bit of like Jared Culver out of Minnesota and stuff like that. Raw wing that has a lot
What
of
is he
potential.
doing these days? I mean, he's still on the Timberwolves, and
He's
they're
still on
drafting.
he's on the Timberwolves. He played some minutes in for a bad team, but who was a team you liked in the draft?
I like the Warriors pick with Wiseman a lot. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people were talking about the Warriors trading this pick. I mean, they needed a big guy. They haven't had a big, versatile guy like this in a long time. I didn't see him play much in the season because he obviously, he played like 6 games.
He played 3 games, yeah.
3 games, and then he shut it down. But man, his highlights were nice. He is a big guy who is fast, who is long. I mean, he is huge. Isn't it's like a 7'6" wingspan?
Yeah.
He
And
is
he's legit 7'1" too. Yeah,
he's a
big.
monster. I don't think he'll have any health injuries either because he's not like bulky. He's still pretty light. He can handle it. He has a lot of potential, and I think he's going to fit in perfectly with Steph, Clay eventually, hopefully. Draymond, Kelly Oubre is going to be nice. I kind of wish they still had D'Angelo at this point, but that ship has sailed. I think the Warriors will put up a fight this year with him. I think he'll make an impact right away. But
Yeah, he's really in a perfect situation.
it's hard to make a mistake in the top 5 picks, top 3 picks at least. Sorry.
Well, that number 2 pick's the weird one. It's either goes really good or really poorly. But I think Wiseman, yeah, he fits perfectly. He doesn't have to overdo anything like some rookies have to right off the bat. Is he can literally go rim run and rebound and
he'll be a 10 and 10 guy, probably shooting like 60% for sure.
Get boards, get offensive rebounds, and dunk and out on the. I mean, he runs well.
Yeah,
he runs well on the fast break. Yeah, I watched him, Memphis is in UConn's was in UConn's conference, so I watched the 3 games that he played
Of
before he
course, you.
put it in. Yeah, and I mean, when him and then another first round pick, Precious Achua, uh, played together, man, they were both fun to watch. And Precious Achua is another one of those perfect fits that I thought, like a hustle guy will go and work his butt off, give you 110%. That's exactly what a Miami Heat player is, in my opinion. And I think he fit perfectly. He has he's really raw, but he he can go get the rebounds and plays his butt off. So if he can hone it in, which I think Spoelstra and that head office can definitely help him mold him into a good player. I think he'll fit perfectly with Bam.
Absolutely. Another player I think that's going to make an impact right away, and that would be LaMelo Ball. I'm sold on him. I think he's going to be a legit player. Um, he's not. I don't think he's going to be an all-star, honestly. By legit player, I mean starter. It'll be around like his brother. I don't think Lonzo's going anywhere, and I don't think LaMelo's going to go anywhere. He's probably going to have some shooting struggles. Teams are probably going to dare him to shoot, so it's going to make passing the ball his strength even harder to do. But if he can use screens, if he can work with his teammates, I think they have a lot of good guards in the Hornets, so they're not going to be able to single in on LaMelo. I think he'll be another player that'll make an impact immediately. But he's a polarizing player. He's going to bring a lot of attention those 3 games. They're going to be on TV, so we'll see how far he can go. But I think he'll be a solid starter at the very least.
Yeah, I think that teams might approach him a little bit to how Ja Morant got guarded at the end of the season, where they dared him to shoot because of his finishing and passing out of once he gets in the lane ability. And I think at early season, we'll see some LaMelo Ball flashes and highlights because people won't be guarding him a certain way. But I think over time, they'll be daring him to beat them from the outside and 3-point line rather than getting in and passing out to Hayward and all those guys for threes.
Do you think he's going to be as good as Ja Morant this season?
I'm not saying no. I don't think he'll be as good as Ja Morant, but
I
I think
want
they will guard.
aggregators to
But I
take the.
think they'll guard him like Ja Morant because I mean, in the bubble, they were sitting at the free throw line while Ja Morant was at the top of the key, daring him to shoot threes, and he was not shooting them because he was scared of missing them. So I think
Hopefully
you got to
LaMelo.
test
Yeah,
them.
hopefully LaMelo shot selection is okay because he's
Yeah.
definitely going to get him. Ja attacked a lot. If LaMelo can do the same thing, he'll be better off.
And LaMelo is an amazing finisher. Like you look at it, his length and stuff like that. The way he spins the ball when he releases it is just unbelievable for a 6'8" point guard. So I think he'll figure it out, and I think he has less of a learning curve to some of the other players that were drafted in the first round. Is there anyone else in the lottery that you thought fit good, or any first rounders?
I think similar to LaMelo, these players that are coming from overseas, it's so hard to evaluate them, but it almost helps them. Maybe this year more than most. But I like Denny Avdia from the film I've seen. Killian Hayes has had some good Olympic moments, but their highlights look good. But when you look at their stats, they're getting like 6 points a game.
But they're not playing
Assist
a
or
ton of
rebound.
minutes.
They're not playing. Isn't that concerning to anybody?
Yeah.
I'm not very good at evaluating talent when it's from uh, an international league to another international league. I don't know how you compare apples and oranges like that. I think that I'm more sold on Denny Avdia, but Killian Hayes went pretty high. I'm not entirely sold on him. I would have went Halliburton over
Yep,
him.
I agree.
You agree? Yeah. So I don't know. These players that come from overseas, RJ Hampton, the Nuggets got him, right? He's another one that might have been. He might have had the opposite effect where he actually went too low because he was playing against people that were too good for him, and he got a lot of playing time compared to these other players who didn't get a lot of playing time. So I think they'll take a little time to develop, but those are some players that I have my eye on, at least from this draft.
Yeah, and towards the end of the first round, RJ Hampton is, I think, another person
Yeah, I
that,
brought him up for the Nuggets.
yeah, and I think he landed in the perfect spot because he doesn't have to be asked too much. He can sit behind Monte Morris and learn from Jamal Murray, but also play next to them because he's a combo guard. He's a freak athlete. Um, I you know I heard by a lot of uh, scouts and stuff like that, like he might be the best athlete in the draft. I think Precious Achiuwa is probably the best athlete in my opinion, but RJ Hampton's like 6'5" combo guard. Like can't ask much more for that. And if he can piece it all together, I think he can be a good player. And Denver likes to develop develop these late round talents. I think him and Zeke Naji were both good picks for them.
Who didn't you like? This draft was weird because we had this whole pandemic happen right when March Madness was happening. We didn't get to see a couple of most of the conference tournaments. That's when I really start honing in on players, are these conference tournaments and the March Madness. So who are these players you think went too hot because we didn't see enough of them?
I think the obvious one, and he got a lot of scrutiny at number 4, was Patrick Williams from Florida State. He didn't start for Florida State the whole year. He's kind of raw. And I just thought he didn't fit real well with the Bulls. I mean, he's 6'7". They put him at small forward, but he really played the 4 in college. And I don't know. I think he could either be, a situational person that ends up being a Kawhi Leonard style player, or he's going to be an ISO guy that is a good mid-range and three or a defensive player, guard in multiple positions. But I also think that he could flop really easily. I think we've seen it the last few years, these bench players getting drafted in the first round above players that they played with that started ahead of them. And, it worked out with Karl Anthony Towns coming off the bench, but then there's been numerous players that did come off the bench that had a lot of hype. I don't know. I wasn't huge on Patrick Williams. If you're going to draft a wing, why did you not draft Denny or a couple of those other players that were in picked later? I think Isaac Okoro would have fit perfectly for the Bulls. And I love Isaac Okoro. I think he's probably has the highest upside in the entire draft of any player, but he got drafted to the worst possible team for him. And so I feel so bad because he is going to the team in the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are the worst defensive team the last 2 years. They set the record for worst defensive efficiency last year. And he's supposed to come in and be the alterer and guard the best player every night as a rookie. I think that's like the worst position to be in as a rookie.
It's going to get
And,
cooked.
yeah, and you're just asking for an all-time low ego and low confidence level for a whole season as a rookie. But yeah, what do you think as far as like the early picks and stuff like that? Who didn't you like?
I didn't like the Patrick Williams pick. He kind of fits with their team because they have plenty of people to shoot the ball and they need some more defense too. But I don't think he was going to go anytime soon before maybe at least 8. So why not trade back, get a couple more assets for it, and then just pick him later. And I think it was a wasted pick. They wasted their position. If you're going to suck all year, you might as well get one of the top 4 players and not one of the top 8 players. You could have at least tried to make a playoff push if you're going to do that. So I didn't really like that pick. I actually like the Obi Toppin pick. So the fact that all these other teams didn't take him makes me curious a little bit. Wasn't Dayton going to be like
They would have been a 1 seed. Like they were really
They were
good.
the number 1 seed at the end of the year. When can we say Dayton has ever been the number 1 seed? Never. And that's probably because of Obi Toppin. That's how good he is. He can make Dayton a number 1 seed.
Yep. Well, the thing with Obi Toppin is he's an amazing offensive player. I think he's probably rookie of the year. He's my pick for rookie of the year probably. But
Oh, I
he
might have
is
to take that too.
he he's not good on defense. Like he just doesn't move well. He doesn't understand defenses, and I think it's just lack of playing time. He's crazy athletic, so I think if he can take the time to learn it, he could be a good defender. But he just, yeah, he's a liability on defense, and he kind of reminds me of his teammate now, Julius Randle, a lot, where like great offensive player, but a liability on defense. And I don't see a long-term effect where you can put both those guys on the same team and rely on Mitchell Robinson to bail you out every time. I don't know.
How do the Knicks have Tobin, Randall, and Tom Thibodeau? I don't know how that's going to work out.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that I think if any coach can pull out defense out of a player, it could be Thibodeau, but it could also have the reverse effect like Karl Anthony Towns did, and he just plays less defense. So we'll see.
I'm worried.
Yeah, yeah. I thought he's the hometown kid. He's from New York. I thought that was a good pick, but there's a bit of a logjam at that 4 position. Maybe they'll play him at the 3. He can shoot threes, so he could play the wing, but I don't think he can guard wings. I don't. That's a weird situation.
I know they just got Nerlens Noel. Couldn't they kind of play them at the 4 and the 5, kind of be a small ball team? I can't think of who the Knicks have because they made a couple moves. I didn't like really any of them. They're still hoping Giannis doesn't do anything. But yeah, Tobin next to Randall, that might be kind of interesting. Let RJ Barrett, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see how RJ Barrett makes strides in his second year because he turned the ball over a ton. I thought they could have used a lead ball. They still don't have a point guard.
This all sounds bad for the Knicks. They
Yeah.
picked up Austin Rivers, but yeah, this all sounds bad for the Knicks. But I like Obi, so hopefully he gets out of there if he doesn't want.
Yeah, I like Obi Toppin too. He's a very good player. Yeah, and the Pistons they drafted Killian Hayes, right, at number 8 or whatever. I thought that was a poor pick because of the Halliburton, but I thought the rest of their draft was really good. I thought drafting Sadiq Bey, who, in my opinion, is one of those DN3 players that can play right away. He reminds me a lot of Rodney Covington. Big guy, can play 3-4, possibly the 5 in certain situations. But they drafted him from that trade, I think, with the Celtics. They had 3 first-round picks, and
They got one from the Blazers.
They got it from OKC. They got it from OKC for 19. But then they drafted Isaiah Stewart out of Washington. He's another center that I think is kind of raw, but I think he has good potential to be, Clint Capella style rim runner. He does shoot the 3. In college, he did at least.
But fight Plumlee.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with Washington. Washington draft picks sometimes don't pan out, but I thought those 3 were really good quality picks for growing their young core.
It was a weird draft, man.
Yeah,
I was telling you before we started, it sucked because most of the time we start liking these players during the conference tournaments and March Madness, and we actually get a feel of who's going to be a clutch performer and who's not. So, and we didn't get that this year, and a lot of freshmen and a lot of these rising stars are going to be dark horses. Free agency was fun. The draft was fun. I'm looking forward to seeing what all these players do this next season.
Yeah. One last thing, I guess. Do you have do you see any second rounders, late picks that you really liked?
I think the big name programs had a lot of people slip. I'm a Duke fan, so I like the Vernon Carey pick.
I
Oh
liked
God,
Cassius Stanley to
that's the one I was going to bring
Indiana.
up. I like him a lot too.
I think he was super underrated. He just didn't have enough tape because he didn't get to play in the tournament.
Yeah, you took my other one. I had two people: it was Vernon Carey and Cassius.
My he could be my favorite pick in the entire draft. He's up there with the Precious Achua one, but I think Tyrell Terry to the Mavs at 31. That's point guard from Stanford. I think he's going to be an awesome player. He's probably the best shooter in the entire draft. Maybe Devin Vesely, who went to San Antonio at 11, but he's an amazing, he can play the point guard position, good pick and roll coordinator on offense, and has an amazing stroke. So I think he can fit really good at that backup point guard position, but also can play next to Luka and, just sit there and catch and shoot threes all day. I thought he was going to go way earlier, and I'm amazed that the Celtics took Peyton Pritchard.
I like
But
him.
like
I like him.
I like Peyton
People
Pritchard
don't. I
too,
like him.
but if you
Yeah.
look at upside, I think Tyrell Terry and even Maladon, who ended up going a few picks later from Europe, I thought those 2 point guards had a lot more upside, especially at late first round pick than. But I like Peyton Pritchard, and I think he's the perfect
Peyton a
Boston
lot.
Celtic. Like, as soon as he got drafted to the Celtics, I was like, I couldn't imagine him playing for any other team, to be honest. But I like him a lot. I think he'll play.
He's one of those players who would have dominated in the tournament, and his
Well, he did the year before. I mean, they made it to the Final Four
proven.
last year, and
Yeah,
big reason why. So
I feel like some teams forget that stuff. I don't know. Sometimes it's just the buzz around these players that get them drafted.
yeah,
He had a great. I can't remember what the Thanksgiving tournament he was in, but he played well then too last season. So I like that pick a lot.
yeah, and it's weird because there's been 8 months of no college basketball, and so I think that's why Patrick Williams skyrocketed at the last moment is everyone's over analyzing their tape for 8 months instead of 3 months, and so I think there'll be a lot more late round like good players that get drafted, in the 20s and 30s that become really good NBA players that were just like, why did they slip so far? And it's just because of lack of tape or people overanalyzed other people on potential and stuff like that. It'll be
It'll be that, or this will be the worst draft in a long, long time.
Yeah. Next year's draft,
we'll
super
see.
stacked.
Well,
all right, man. Well, it's been fun. That's pretty much all that we've covered. You have any last notes?
Walter, are you trying to get out of the quiz because you know you're going to lose?
I was trying to get out of the quiz.
I think you're scared. I think that's what it is. I don't blame you. Actually, you sent me your notes over earlier, and you covered about half of the players I had written down.
Oh, really?
I'm a little worried you didn't have their contracts down, but we'll see how you do. So let me set up the quiz for the people, all 5 people out there. Me and Colt are going to do a quiz. There's probably been like 100, probably more, I don't know, maybe more than 100 transactions in the last 3 days. We didn't study too much. We had to both compile our own list of all the different free agency moves and trade moves that just happened, okay, since Friday. So me and Colt are going to quiz each other. We're going to say the player's name. We're going to ask what team they went to, and then bonus side kicker if you know the contract, yippee. But if you just get the team right, that'll give you a point, right? So we're going to probably do about 10 players each. Does that sound good, Coulter? Are you still scared you're going to jump off this Zoom call when things get bad?
If it becomes a landslide, I might have to throw in the towel. But let's go.
I'm actually worried. I'm kind of kidding when I have all this confidence. Okay. We have our list. We can't look at our list when we're being asked the question.
Yep.
So I'll go first. Okay. We'll start out with a couple easy ones. Is that all right?
Yeah. Who's your first? Who's the first one?
Okay. Paul Millsap.
Oh, he re-signed with the Nuggets for 1 year and 10 mil.
I have 10 written down. That's good job.
Woohoo!
Good job.
All
You don't
right,
get 2 points. That's just 1 point.
that's just one point.
We need a graphic or something to keep track of this.
Well,
I'll write this.
we'll add it in.
You know how to do that?
Dude, I'm
Yeah,
a
you
film.
must be a
I
video
work
guy.
in I work in the film industry. Okay, my first one for you, Derek Favors.
Went back to the Jazz. I'm glad you asked that one. Man, it's not much money. Total guess. 2 years, 8 mil.
3 years, 27.
27.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. Good for him.
yeah.
That's too much. That's too much. That would have been a fun game too.
All
Okay,
right, 1-1.
1-1. All right. How about this one? Ed Davis.
Oh, Ed Davis. He got traded too, didn't
He got traded.
he? He was on the Jazz. He went to. Did he go to the Knicks? No. He went to someone, then got traded again. Uh,
5 seconds.
I'll say the Knicks.
Oh, so close. He got traded to the Knicks, and then he got traded to the Timberwolves.
Timberwolves. Dang it.
You got the first part. He was part of the Cantor deal.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no. That's the next. That's somebody else. Sorry. That was just for picks. Oh, this is actually interesting. The Jazz traded him to the Knicks, and they had to pay money to the Knicks for them to take
him.
And then the Knicks turned around and traded him to the Timberwolves, and then they got picks out of it.
Nice. That's a good draft. That's good for the Knicks.
The Knicks did something right.
Yeah.
Spike Lee, something good going for you. Okay.
Okay.
That one was hard. I'm sorry. That was a trick question, but
No, we'll bounce around. Okay. I'm gonna give you one a little bit harder.
Me already.
Your boy from Duke, Jahlil Okafor.
Oh, Pistons.
Yep. Do you know they haven't finalized the terms?
They probably gave him a max money. That's what the Pistons are doing.
It seems like they just kept signing posts.
2 for 6. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's 2 for 6. That's what I have. Yeah.
Oh, sick. I don't think I even looked at that one.
But it's weird that they signed him, Plumlee, and Jeremy Grant. They just sign in posts. They have Blake Griffin still.
2 posts.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
2-1.
That was a good one. Okay. I'll go. Shoot, we kind of already talked about him, so I have to jump around on a couple of these. How about Austin Rivers? No. I think I talked about him. How about Brad Wanamaker?
Oh, I thought this was an interesting one. I saw he got signed to the Golden State Warriors, and I think that's a good backup to have. He fits good in that role. I think it's 1 year and like 2.5 mil.
Yeah. 2.25, but
2.25.
Nice.
Okay.
Still, Celtics. I have Pritchard instead of him, so.
Yeah. Okay. Christian Wood.
Oh, Rockets. I like that one a lot. 3 for 41.
Yeah.
That was one of the only good things the Rockets did.
They signed DeMarcus Cousins recently. I just saw.
Well, you just blew one of the ones I was gonna ask. You just hurt yourself. I was gonna ask that. But yeah, that's an interesting.
I think they fit good together if they can. If Cousins comes back, I think those two together is a good fit. I mean, they're not scoring.
The personalities of Harden, Westbrook, and DeMarcus.
Yeah. No, we'll see. If one of those guys gets traded, then I think those two are good together. They both can shoot threes.
I hope Boogie plays well.
Yeah. Okay.
My turn? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. We talked about
3-2 right now.
3-2. All right. How about Jeff Green?
Oh, he signed with his boy in Brooklyn. Um,
Boy.
Kevin Durant. They got drafted together, didn't they?
Oh yeah, they played on the Thunder. That's right.
Um,
They play on the Sonics together.
it, yeah, they did. Yeah, before they were the Thunder.
Mm.
Jeff Green was, I think, one of the pieces that got traded to get the Harden pick, but maybe not.
I thought it was to get Kendrick. Is that
Kendrick. Yeah, no, you're
Kendrick?
right. You're right.
Is that what they did?
Um, I don't know what the deal is with 1 year, 6 mil.
Yeah, 1 year vet. I don't even have to look at it.
Okay.
It's what it is. 1 year vet.
Okay.
He's just gonna be on the sidelines during timeouts. Be like, whoa, they have Jeff Green. Cool.
He'll play on nights off for everyone else. Okay. Here's a more tricky one. Cam Reynolds.
Cam Reynolds. Oh my gosh. Okay. Now we're getting to the tough ones. Okay.
We talked about a lot of the ones I had, so.
Wow, I'm just trying to think of a team that didn't make many moves. That's who I'm going for here.
That's exactly who we went to. Yeah.
Cavaliers. I don't know.
Oh no, San Antonio Spurs
Spurs.
for 1 year.
Okay, you got me. That was a good one. You got me on that. All right, let me put it next year.
So I think it's 3-3. Is that
Okay.
what it is? Is that right?
Yeah, 3-3. Okay, my turn. I went first, right?
Yeah.
I asked questions first.
Yeah.
Okay. Mario Hazonia.
Crap. He was in a trade. He was not in the Covington trade. He was in the Ennis Cantor trade. Did he go to the Knicks?
No,
No, he didn't.
he's on Memphis. But you're right. He was part of the Cantor deal.
It was a 3-team deal though, because it sent the Bain pick number 30 to them. Yeah. Okay. Nice. Good one.
Yeah. Yeah. You hit me with Cam Reynolds. I had to get you back.
Had to get me back. Juan Hernan Gomez, one of the two Hernan Gomez brothers. He played for the Nuggets last year.
Oh my God. I haven't seen his name anywhere. The Kings. Seems like a Kings player.
Close. Timberwolves. Another bad team. But that's who he played for last year. He got traded in the Malik Beasley trade.
Yeah, I just assumed they wanted him back.
Yeah.
Come back to us. You're playing so mediocrely. Okay. So, man, we're bringing out the hard questions now. I like it. Okay. This one, Jeff Teague. Gosh, I hope I didn't bring it
to the
up.
Celtics.
Yeah. Okay, you got that one. Good one. I'm running out, man.
Robin Lopez.
Wizards. Yeah,
nice.
Wizards.
Nice. 1 year, 7 mil. That's not bad.
That's good. Yeah, more than he was going to get on the Bucks.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm up again. Uh-oh. Matthew Dellavedova.
Oh, did he re-sign with the Cavs? I know he signed a 1-year deal. Yeah, I'm going to say re-signed with the Cavs.
He re-signed with the Cavs.
Oh, nice. The Aussie. Okay. Alex Len.
Raptors.
Good pickup for them, I thought.
He signed a lot of big guys.
Yeah. I'd like the Aaron Baines pickup with them.
Yeah. I had him on my list too, but I knew you were going to know it. Kent Bazemore.
He re-signed. Was it? He played for the Warriors, so I think he re-signed with the Warriors, right?
Got the Warriors. That was like an hour before the podcast. Gosh dang. That was a good one.
Yeah, I should have. The DeMarcus Cousins one was like really close to the podcast airing too.
That was a big name.
Okay, last one.
Is it the last one? I feel like there's a
how many?
More.
Oh, we're doing 10.
Might have lost track here.
I'll do the other Hernan Gomez brother, Willie
What?
Hernan
You're
Gomez.
asking the most ridiculous questions. This is impossible. Knicks.
Pelicans.
Pelicans. Oh my god. Well, my exes are from the same family. That should count as one. Man, I'm just gonna have to think of some people off the top of my head here. Justin Holiday. You're gonna
Oh,
get it.
that was the one I was gonna do next. He signed with the re-signed with the Pacers for 3 and 18.
18. Ooh, I've got one more over here. Okay, I got two more. Okay, you're up.
Okay. I got
You asked me three more. I've got two more for you.
Okay.
You can ask me some easier ones, and I'll try to get the contract.
Okay. Wesley Matthews.
Lakers. That minimum.
Yep. 1 year at 3.6. Yep.
Okay. Willie Cauley-Stein.
Oh man, I know he doesn't play for the Kings anymore. He didn't play in the bubble, but he played for a team that was in the bubble.
That's right.
Did he re-sign with the Mavericks?
Yeah, he re-signed. Guess how many
He
years?
did.
Yeah, he did.
2 years
Or
for $8 million.
oh wow, that's 8.2.
Oh, all right, nice.
We should just be GMs.
Let me think here. Oh man, Javon Carter.
Suns, man, 3 years, 17 or 21.
11.5.
Yeah, it wasn't much. Yeah,
Bargain deal.
you don't see a lot of long-term deals for not a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't know who his agent is. I don't believe in him. That's what that says. Okay. This one was very interesting. Is that even the right team? Yeah, that's the right team. All right. We talked about this team quite a lot. Isaiah Hardenstein.
Okay.
Hardenstein. He did
He's
play
from
last
Germany.
year.
He played for the Rockets at one point.
Okay, at one point. Raptors. That's the picture I saw. I don't remember it much.
He's a young player. He's coming off his rookie contract, I think. I have no idea.
1 year with the Nuggets. That's the kind of moves the Nuggets made.
Okay.
That's why I put it in there, just because they for the Nuggets.
Okay. So I got the last one then, or do we have one? You have one more.
Yeah, we've completely lost track. We're not even going to know. So my last one, you're going to have to get the player right, the team right, and the contract right. So if you want to do something like that, you can.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
I guess you might ask two more. Doesn't
matter. Chris Dunn.
Oh, do I have to get the contract right too?
Yeah.
Gosh, you're just making these tough, man. Hawks. They're overpaying anyone. I can't. 2 years. Is it 2 years?
You got 2 years. Yeah.
11 mil.
Oh, close. $10 million.
Fuck. I bet there's some incentives in there.
Could get him to 11. He gets an all defensive team. He gets a little bonus.
I bet you get this one if I ask it. I want to ask you a hard one because you're giving me all these hard ones. All right. Tristan Thompson.
Okay, Tristan Thompson went to Boston. Uh, I'm guessing it's probably a 2-year contract.
That's
Is it
right.
is it just like all the other posts in like 2 for 19?
2 for 19, you son of a bitch. It is
Because
like all the
that's
posts.
what Ibaka's and Montrezl Harrell's is. So
I
that's
know.
what I was
Who do you
wondering.
like the most out of those three? That's interesting.
Ibaka.
I mean, that's a pretty fair market. I mean, that's a tough
Yeah,
choice.
yeah.
I would
That's
probably go with I no, yeah, I think Harold just had a bad. I might jump back on the
I'm
Harold.
going with I guess I think Harrell can play next to AD, but I think Ibaka works really good on the Clippers.
They're probably on the right teams.
They're both on good teams. I think Tristan Thompson's on the Celtics is a good pick too.
Yeah.
But also, one random thing that we never talked about is Fox, Mitchell, and Tatum all got the max.
I didn't want to. I think they always do that crap.
They all got paid
Random will get it.
163 plus incentives. Could be 200 mil.
Tatum already got his 195 because he
Yep,
spent.
because he made all NBA. But Fox and Mitchell are both won the 163 over 5. But I'm guessing Bam's probably right behind him. And then,
Fox isn't getting into that 195 with how bad the Kings are.
yeah,
Mitchell has a chance.
and guard play in the West, like gotta be a good guard in the West. That's why Tatum's I think the best of the three, but he's also
I hope Brian Windhorst likes you because it's just a bunch of writers picking you.
Yep. All right, man. Well, we picked a lot. We showed pizza at the start.
You have no idea who won, but we both ate pizza, so
We both ate pizza, and that's all we can ask for. So we'll be back in a little bit though for the start of the season. I think we're gonna do a season preview and kind of take our preseason picks of I don't know. Are they doing awards this year? I don't know. Who's going to win the title in 72?
Oh, we're going to do it. The Pizza and Picks Awards.
Pizza and Picks Awards.
Preseason
Pizza and Picks Awards.
To our audience, if you skip
P.
the last 2 minutes of this podcast, we're going to have a Twitter handle. So it's going to be Pizza N Picks, the letter N. There's already Pizza and Picks. It's a hockey site. I'm sorry about that. They should have been Pizza and Pucks. I'm talking to them about it. I'm in their DMs. But yep, Pizza and Picks on Twitter. Subscribe, follow us. So we got a YouTube page up now too. Me and Coulter are both going to be posting on there. We're going to be subtweeting a bunch of famous people. We're probably going to go at them, create some buzz. So be sure to follow us. We're gonna
we might get
this every month. Have some production value, it sounds like, from this guy right here. One of the best videographers, especially in music videos in Montana. Go check out Coulter. All right, there's one more person to look at your videos, Coulter. Our conversion.
We might get our Suns Intel Jamie Stewart on too next time.
Oh man, if we started getting some guest appearances on here, we'll be blowing up from 5 to maybe 10. Watch out.
Woo. All right, until next time.
All right, signing off. See you later.
Later.